The U.S. Supreme Court has unanimously upheld the federal law banning TikTok beginning Sunday unless it's sold by its China-based parent company. Today, the court held the risk to national security posed by TikTok's ties to China overcomes concerns about limiting speech by the app or its 170 million users in the U.S. Several parties have expressed interest in buying the platform, but a sale does not appear imminent. The law does allow for a 90-day pause on the ban if there's progress towards a sale. Donald Trump said in a social post before the decision that TikTok was among the topics in his conversation today with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Joining us now to talk more about what we can expect on Sunday is tech expert Carmi Levi. Carmi, I think a big question now is what's going to happen on Sunday if the ban begins? How will it be enforced?
You almost need a scorecard to keep track of what could possibly happen on Sunday. Any number of things. The company, TikTok, could find a buyer for its American operations, which essentially means it's line and they don't go dark on Sunday. So that could happen. Or they don't find a buyer and the company has said they don't want to be sold. And they have said if they can't find a buyer, they might just shut themselves down, go dark voluntarily. And so we might wake up Sunday to find out that TikTok decided to pull the plug. Or we might wake up on Sunday and the law, of course, goes into effect. There is no buyer and the company chooses to ignore it, essentially daring the U.S. government to wait a day until Donald Trump is inaugurated, at which point, of course, he has said he will save the company. So it could go one way, it could go the other. It is anyone's guess right now. It almost seems like a snow globe.
If the ban begins, what changes will users experience with the app?
I don't think we're going to see a big bang shutdown. In other words, it's not like someone is going to be sitting in a room pressing a big red button and it suddenly disappears from our midst. If there is a ban and if it is enforced, we'll probably see it enforced in stages. And so the first stage, we will see it disappear from the App Store. So if you have a Google or an Android powered phone or an iPhone, you'll go to the App Store, it won't be there. So you won't be able to download it if you don't have it. But if you already have it on your phone, it'll still exist and you'll still be able to use it. You might notice that certain things might not work. So for example, as they shuffle data around, perhaps moving it into the US away from other countries in the background, you might notice that some content, some videos might not load. There might be error messages. It might be slow. They also won't be updating the app anymore, at least not in the interim. So things like bugs, security issues, and things will not be patched or addressed, and so performance may degrade over time until things kind of get back to normal. So think like a slow fade instead of a quick on and off.
Could companies that host the app face consequences if the ban begins on Sunday?
The law does make provision for companies that host the app to be sanctioned as well. In other words, this doesn't just target TikTok or its parent company ByteDance. It targets those within its infrastructure, the server providers, the networking specialists, the organizations that devote the infrastructure that allows you and me to use TikTok day to day, that they could be part of this as well if they defy any ban as well. Now, the big question is will it be enforced? We have seen comments from U.S. President Joe Biden, he is president until early Monday, that he has indicated he will not be taking action. He will leave it to Donald Trump's administration to decide what happens next, which essentially means there is a law in place. On the books, there is a ban. The door is open for it. But if the government doesn't have the stomach to actually enforce it on Sunday, which it doesn't look like they do, then in fact, we will just essentially skate through Sunday into Monday, at which point the new president takes over.
Trump posted on Truth Social that the decision on TikTok will be made in the future, but added that the Supreme Court's decision needs to be respected. What can we expect? Why would Trump save the app when he previously talked about banning it?
Donald Trump has absolutely changed his mind. He was the guy who started this anti-TikTok movement during his first administration, signing an executive order ordering the company to sell itself to an American company or face a shutdown. But he's had a change of heart since then, largely because during the election campaign leading up to November 2024, his campaign officials used TikTok as a platform to reach younger voters, particularly younger male voters. And so Donald Trump has recognized that, and he in fact has spoken publicly about his fondness now for the platform because he believes that it won him the White House again. So he now has a soft spot for it. He has said he wants to save it. It's quite an about face from where he started, but it's clear that he sees he can benefit more from it with the lights on than with the lights off.
If there is a buyer, will ByteDance sell, and will China approve the sale?
ByteDance has said repeatedly since all this began that it does not want to sell the company. It has also said that if in fact it is forced to sell the company, it will not include the algorithm that really forms the core, the very soul of the company. The algorithm is known to be easily the most sophisticated in all of social media. It is supernaturally capable of surfacing content that you want to watch, and it's the reason why when you sit down to watch one video, 3 hours later, you're still watching them one after the other after the other. And so it is like the company's secret sauce. TikTok does not want to sell it. The Chinese government has said this is proprietary Chinese technology, and they would oppose including the algorithm as well. So even if a sale does happen, it will likely be of only the company, not the underlying technology, which means any American company that buys TikTok is going to have to replicate that algorithm, engineer one from scratch, which is a very tall, if not impossible, order.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us, Carmi.